We're here today to talk about a very interesting topic, that is Orientalism. I'm Collin Baker, and I'm here interviewing Skyler Valenzuela to help us hear his thoughts, opinions, and ways to combat Orientalism, and educate ourselves as well. Let's start with some questions. Skyler, the Western stereotypes of Asia have existed for centuries, but where did this portrayal originate?
When we take a look at Edward Said's book, Orientalism, the main idea is that the West's misconceptions of the East is really not just a misdescription. It's also a strategy that uses established careers and institutions to constantly reinforce harmful representations of these very diverse cultures. Um, and they really dumb it down and just they assert dominance, cultural dominance over the East. And to really understand the discourse that has taken place in the U.S., we can look at its mechanics, like the foundational relationship of hegemony and how the Western knowledge takes control.
And how has it taken control?
Well, the type of dominance the West has asserted upon the world's culture can really only be described as that of hegemony. Orientalism really isn't just a collection of textbooks or an institution. It's also a certain type of cultural domination that the Western world has developed, you know? I mean, making its own worldview the norm for everybody. Which, in my opinion, it really does suck, you know? It makes it very hard for countries to break out of these stereotypes, and it definitely gives birth to lots of racism among less culturally educated people. The other result of that is constant oversimplified representation of a lot of very diverse cultures. Yeah, they're fixed to a singular state of essentialism.
No, yeah, I definitely get that. It's not fair to these countries that are modern and advanced just like us, but have trouble escaping the stereotypes just because of the Western influence.
No, yeah, exactly. You get it. So what's next?
How about we dive into career next?
Yeah, sure, that sounds good. So, when Saeed talks about career, obviously he isn't talking about someone's job. He's talking about an immovable cultural institution, really. This is what kept Orientalism around for so long. That's why it's still here today. This is what has made the idea of it so durable and withstanding time for so long. Uh, Basically, when he talks about career, it's a network of institutions, journals, museums, and administrations that have created and sustained a massive archive of knowledge about the East. And then, over time, this is basically hegemony. And so when people see this, they feel that it's normal and backed up by many institutions. And they feel like it's fact and evidence.
That is honestly a perfect description of career. And you're right about the hegemony part. I would also add that the career also controls who gets to have a voice in the conversation. That is kind of how the Orient itself is silenced, and if you aren't a part of the Western career, your opinion just isn't taken as an authoritative figure. And in turn, the Orient simply can't defend itself culturally through its own. For our next question, let's talk about how authority is built.
I think honestly, Indiana Jones might be the perfect example of Orientalism.
Interesting. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Its portrayal of places like Cairo and India are just barbaric and wild. The societies depicted in the films are not modern and complex like us, but rather chaotic and ancient. The Orientalist expectation is fulfilled with simplified people. They are made out to be incompetent. The villagers and natives are desperate in the movie for a white savior to come to their rescue. This honestly is just a prime example of Orientalism and how the ideas are spread throughout Western pop culture.
Okay, I understand that. So pop culture contributes to connotations of the East also?
Overly, and as well as institutions, universities, textbooks, and all that as well. But yes, definitely, it definitely does.
Now, let's talk about essentialism.
Okay, yeah, bringing up a previous part of our conversation, Indiana Jones actually has the essentialism aspect to it also. The ancient societies that are depicted aren't actually what places look like in Egypt and India. And I think this is probably a very extremely damaging part, maybe the most damaging part about Orientalism to just societies. And this is my opinion on it. Um, it causes much discourse for these countries in the East and is a big part of racism as well. It's a big cause of it. Just by seeing how they're depicted in pop culture, it makes people assume that that's genuinely how it is in these places, and obviously it's not. Like, we all know it's not. There's no mummies walking around and guys with swords in the streets.
Wow, that actually kind of makes me want to travel there.
Absolutely, and I feel like taking a trip as we speak just to get the real life picture of how it is there. Overall, the main takeaway of Said's work is that hegemony floods our pop culture with essentialist representations of Eastern countries, and the best way to go about it is to fight the discourse by simply being educated and having daily media literacy. Said's work forces us to think about the complex realities behind exotic photos, videos, music, etc., and really just think whose interests are being served by this post.
Thank you, Skyler, for letting me interview you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Have a great day.
You as well.